The movie begins with Fernando standing at a bus stop lighting a cigarette, but suddenly a passing car splashed water all over him. He glanced at the soaked cigarette, now completely extinguished, and casually tossed it away. The cigarette drifted slowly along the rainwater on the road and into the roadside drain. Fernando watched with quiet curiosity as it floated until the current pulled it down the drain. He then lifted his gaze and noticed a well-known bank directly across the street. After thinking for a moment, he followed the water flow toward the drainage outlet nearby. He looked down at the pipe's exit, then shifted his eyes back again to the bank. At that moment, a bold and daring idea suddenly formed in Fernando's mind. He quickly called his friend to meet him right in front of the bank. Using the quiet cover of night, they lowered a tape measure down into the drain. Then they carefully moved to the drain outlet they had found earlier that night. Soon after, Fernando reached the tape measure and carefully checked its full length. He realized that this spot was only about 18 meters from the bank's main entrance. All he needed was to dig a tunnel straight from there, leading to the vault door. The two then returned home together to work out a more detailed plan. But to dig the tunnel, they needed the exact distance from the drain to the bank. They couldn't openly measure it with a ruler in public without raising suspicion. After thinking for a long time, they built a team. Fernando told De Aza to mark the 28th spoke on a bicycle wheel. They would pretend to be pedestrians, slowly walking the bike from the manhole to the bank. By carefully counting the wheel rotations, they could easily measure the distance. In this simple way, they figured out the span from the manhole cover to the bank. Now Fernando only needed to solve a basic elementary math problem. He calculated that the tunnel length was 18 meters, and from the manhole to the door was 6.5 meters. Fernando applied trigonometry and the Pythagorean theorem to determine the tunnel length and angles. Even with precise data ready, they still couldn't begin their plan just yet. Fernando also needed to locate the exact position of the vault inside the bank. He entered the bank pretending to be a normal customer making a transaction. Secretly, he used a digital camera to take photos of the back door layout. Then he casually and calmly walked further into the lobby area. He took out the camera again to capture the surveillance camera positions and layout. After confirming no one was paying attention, he boldly photographed the transaction counter. But as he finished and was about to leave, security guards noticed his strange behavior. They immediately escorted him to the security room for a thorough inspection. Although they checked very carefully, they still found nothing suspicious at all. In truth, Fernando had already removed the camera's memory card beforehand. It turned out that he intentionally allowed them to catch and question him. Only by doing so could he access the bank and understand the vault structure below. All of this was carefully planned preparation for their future bank heist plan. As he moved downward, he memorized every detail inside the underground vault. When he got home, he used the photos and what he recalled to sketch a vault diagram. However, the vault was enclosed by a reinforced concrete wall, blocking their original plan. Looking at the diagram Fernando had drawn, they chose to dig a tunnel to the nearby security room. With a plan ready, they immediately began working without delay. A group carried tools into the drain and removed the aluminum plate they had marked earlier. Because the area was very humid, the concrete there was more porous than usual. Meanwhile, Fernando's group stayed home discussing a tougher issue, opening the safe quickly. De Aza suggested bringing tools to pry it open directly. Prying one safe would only take about 2 minutes, but there were hundreds of safes inside the vault, so doing that would be both time-consuming and physically exhausting. Naturally, they all rejected that idea. Then Boss suggested using the bank's weekend break. That way, they would have more time to open the safes. But Fernando believed staying longer inside would only increase the danger, so the urgent task now was finding a faster way to open the safes. He proposed that everyone first study how the safe locks worked. Then he told Mario to pretend to be a wealthy man and rent a safe within 100 kilometers. After several attempts, they finally understood the lock's internal structure. To open it faster, Sebastian built a machine designed for that specific lock type. While they celebrated, the tunnel diggers had to stop their work. Without proper digging equipment, they couldn't follow the design accurately. Mario suggested buying a water-level tool, but Fernando immediately refused the idea. It turned out the money he secretly kept from his wife was already gone. With no solution in sight, they felt stuck. Suddenly, Sebastian came up with an idea. He set up a tripod and attached a laser pointer to it. Soon, a simple and free water-level device was created. Thanks to this, their digging efficiency improved significantly. After 3 days and 2 nights, the tunnel was less than 8 meters from the vault. At that moment, Mario realized a serious problem. They had a tool to open safes, but forgot about the vault's iron door. Hearing this, Fernando froze in shock. Exhausted, he lay on the balcony and cried beside his wife. While she comforted him, an idea suddenly came to his mind. He quickly ran to find Mario and shared his bold plan. They couldn't open the vault's iron door, but they could change the entire approach instead. They only needed to act while bank staff were still working, because only then would the vault door remain open, so the issue of opening the vault door was solved. Now they just had to act like robbers storming into the main lobby. This would draw the attention of the security guards. Meanwhile, the others would use the tunnel to enter the vault. Hearing Fernando explain his plan, Mario immediately nodded in agreement. Then Mario and Diaza applied glue to their fingertips and wore black hats. They grabbed a water gun taken from some children and rushed straight into the bank. In less than a minute, the robbers had taken control of the entire bank, but they deliberately ignored one security guard inside the surveillance room. Seeing this, the guard quickly called the police. Even knowing he had made the call, the robbers did not get angry. Instead, they calmly asked him to hand over the phone. Then they removed the magazine from his gun and returned the weapon to him. At that moment, the police had already surrounded the bank entrance, yet the robbers inside remained completely calm and composed. They then locked the back door of the bank and reopened the front door. After that, they pushed the security guard outside. Their actions left the police confused and uncertain. But once the main door shut again, the boldest bank robbery had officially begun. First, the robbers secured all the staff on the 2 upper floors. Meanwhile, the others moved down toward the basement vault. They only needed to gently push the safes outward. Then a hole suddenly appeared in the solid wall. It turned out to be the tunnel leading to their dream of wealth. This was the tunnel Fernando and his team had worked hard to dig. Once everyone arrived, their dream of changing life overnight began. At that time, many people had gathered outside the bank. Along with the media, a special police